Hey there, it's another one of those days when Jessica is being crazy and doing too many things at once. I am watching another presentation on my computer, and so I thought I'd try to do my Facebook Live on my phone, which always goes great. Anyways, thought I would pop in today to talk about large gains and large losses, but before I do, there is a deadline tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern for submitting your claim if you had funds in FTX. And I don't know about you, but if I lost a lot of money in FTX, which I did not, I only lost a little tiny bit, but if I did, I would definitely be wanting to submit that claim. I don't have videos to watch this week about how to do it or anything like that, but I went through it last night, ran into a couple snags. So definitely try it before, 3 minutes before the cutoff and you miss your chance. But definitely check that out, file your claim. Hopefully you get some money back. Hopefully I get a little bit of money back. I didn't have a whole lot left in there when it collapsed, so I didn't lose that much, but it's still nice to get something back. So in other news, I was going to talk about large losses and large gains and why is it so important to plan ahead with your taxes. So if you are a person who did buy some cryptocurrency, maybe in 2021, and you were doing great and everything was going up, and then all of a sudden 2022 came along, wiped out all of your funds, gave you all these losses, but you never closed anything. So if you never closed anything, number one, hey, the good news is the government doesn't care if you report your taxes because you didn't close anything, so you have nothing to report. You only need to report when you are trading one crypto for another, or if you received any crypto income of some kind. So probably in the process of investing in whatever you invested in, you probably did trade one crypto for another and all that, but probably negligible amounts that you need to report, or negligible capital gains amounts to report in any case. So if you are lazy or you don't want to figure out your taxes and you're like, I don't really care, then you could probably skip reporting your taxes without too many consequences on your side. Just because, if the IRS came after you and it's like for a tiny amount, they probably would not spend the amount of effort to go after you. They'd be much more interested in probably chasing the large fish who made lots and lots of money selling Bitcoin or whatever. And for the record, that is not financial advice. I'm not saying don't file your taxes. I am not saying don't be responsible. I'm just saying that in terms of risks and rewards and things like that, if you think about it, if you don't have a whole lot to report and you don't report it, if you get in trouble, who knows? Maybe a slap on the wrist, maybe some fines, but probably not a huge deal if you didn't have a whole lot of activity to report. On the other hand, if you had gains and losses. So one of the stories that I like to tell in our workshops is that we had this client who came to us and she had made so much money investing in Bitcoin. She bought Bitcoin at just the right time. It went up. She sold it at the peak, bought more, and then sold it again, still at the peak. Somehow made $160,000 worth of capital gains in Bitcoin. So she made $160,000 in gains, which is great. But then she put it all into Ripple, which at that point was about the time that the SEC started going after Ripple, and Ripple crashed big time. So if you're going to make that much money in a coin, you probably have a significant amount invested in that coin. And so she had a significant amount invested, went way down, and by the time I met her, she hadn't closed out any of it. So not only did she not take advantage by the end of the year, if she had closed out some of that big loss on the Ripple, first of all, it wouldn't have been able to get bigger. And second of all, she would not have had to pay taxes on the Bitcoin gains because they would have been canceled out by the losses she had on Ripple. So she kind of missed out. She had this really large gain and then she had this really large loss, and both of them added together would have been great for her tax situation. But she didn't do that. And she didn't know, and those are the sorts of things that you don't really think about at the end of the year. You don't think, oh my gosh, I made $160,000 in Bitcoin, especially if you're not paying attention, especially if you haven't consulted about your taxes with anyone, or you haven't put your transactions into a software, and so it says, hey, look, you made $160,000, you better do something about this. So I felt really bad for this person because I didn't want to tell her that she had to pay taxes on this $160,000 gain, but there was no way to offset it. Like after the year closes, you can't go back and change it. You can't say, whoops, I meant to sell my Ripple and my Ripple would have sold it at a loss. But no, it doesn't work that way. You have to have a statement somewhere, or you have to have transactions on the blockchain that show that you bought and you sold, and these are your real numbers, and they're backed up, which is part of what the crypto tax software does that we use. It's just making sure everything is in one place, and then it puts it onto a report for you so you can take it to your accountant or your tax preparer and be all legal and responsible and take advantage of the things that you can do. So if I had met her before I did, which was, I met her 6 months after the fact. So if I had met her at the time, I would have said, hey, let's sell some of this Ripple. Because you sell the Ripple, and then, like I said, at that point, Ripple was still here, and it crashed further and further and further as we got farther and farther into 2022. So if she had sold, you know, half of her Ripple at that point, enough to take advantage of the losses that she had, then she would have had that cash, or she could have put it back into Bitcoin. Nothing at that point was doing really well in the crypto market, so it's hard to say. Like, none of us have a crystal ball. I can't tell you when the bear market is going to end. I'm hopeful it'll end soon, but it's been going on. It's the longest bear market we've ever had, and it could go on for a while yet. Who knows? So I can't say, oh, go invest in this and you'll be fine. And when you pull out of an investment, we were actually having a talk about this last night with our strategy call with our crypto bookkeeping members, that you can have the best plans in the world. You can be like, oh, I'm going to invest in this coin and this coin and this coin, and then I'm going to harvest when the coin doubles or whatever. And then if the coin never doubles, well, when do you get out? And what do you do when you get out? Where do you put it so that you don't lose money? And these are the things that I'm still working on figuring out. And I'm really grateful that I do have friends to bounce ideas off of and to talk about these things with. And last night at the call, we were bouncing ideas back and forth and really kind of taking this whole investing situation apart. Is like, how do you make your choices? How do you figure out what to do? How do you figure out when it's time to pull the plug entirely and give up on crypto? Or are they just waiting for that? Are they just trying to hold it down long enough that like 99% of the people have given up, and then that 1% that holds on is just going to have the wildest ride of its life because it's going to go straight up? Who knows? On the other hand, I have lots of people who tell me that crypto is dead and dying and will not come back, and I shouldn't be investing in it and all this sort of thing. So who are you going to believe? I don't know. I like to think that crypto has a future, especially if the United States follows through and does not allow the Federal Reserve to create a central bank digital currency and control everyone's crypto or digital payments or whatever. I like to think that we have a future because I want that independence and that freedom to spend things how I want to, in the way that I want to, all that sort of thing. So there's that. Coming back to the original question, what do you do when you have large gains? What do you do when you have large losses? So this is the time of year when I start looking at my portfolio and I say, okay, I'm doing really well in this area. I did really badly in this area. If I sell some of this out, it'll offset my gains over here, and then I won't have as much to report on my taxes. So I try to be really strategic about that sort of thing. Oh, I didn't worry about it last year in crypto because 2022 had been such a bad year that I was like, oh, whatever crypto losses I do realize is going to offset my gains that I had in my stock portfolio, so it's all good. But it's not too early to be thinking about this, especially as we get into October, November, and then holiday season. It's crazy and you might not have time to look at it. So definitely taking a look today or this week or early October and really checking that out is a smart idea. And if you are one of those people who has not yet filed your taxes for 2022, the extension deadline is coming up October 16th for the US. We have been talking about this in blog posts and in previous Facebook Lives, but definitely take action. The penalties for not filing are kind of serious. If you're gonna file anyways, eventually you might as well do it in a way so you don't get extra penalties, I think. That's just me. If you have questions, if you need help, we love helping people with their crypto taxes. We had a Q&A call the other night, and one of our clients who bought our do-it-yourself package came on, and he had a question about DeFi stuff and how to deal with all these scams that he'd been involved in, what to do about reporting losses, or if he could report losses and all that stuff. And that part is like easy. We've got that down. We hardly talked about that at all. We ended up looking at some of his numbers that didn't look right in his software. I was like, wait, what's up with that? What's up with that? And digging around, discovered that most of the stuff that he had imported didn't import correctly. And having someone with experience looking at your account going, hey, there's something wrong, can be really helpful, especially if it's going to affect your taxes in a good way. Like, I would hate to look at your accounts and tell you you have to pay $100,000 of taxes or something. That would make me feel really bad. But to look at it and say, it's not quite right, let's get it telling the right story. So we actually spent the entire hour of the Q&A just on his account because no one else had shown up for the Q&A call, which is fine. We looked at his account and we discovered there were all these problems in there, and everything we looked at, it was like, well, try this. Oh, that turned up another problem. Oh, that turned up another problem. And at some point I was like, you know, you could have us just do this for you. And he was like, yes, please. I was like, why didn't I say something sooner? Because sometimes having someone just take care of the mess for you is just the best thing in the world. So if that's you, reach out and contact us. We're pretty much out of time to get it done before October 15th. So if you see this and you do need help, reach out fast. And we're here Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern talking about crypto taxes and tips. We're here on Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern talking about strategy and investing ideas and what do you do kind of things. We've got a link in the comments as usual for our new mini course, which helps you decide, do you need to report crypto in your taxes this year? And then do you need help doing it? So check that out if you haven't. It's a use it or lose it course, so sign up for it and use it within 3 days or you don't get to keep it. If you need help, reach out. We love helping people, like I said. That's pretty much it. So I'm gonna sign off. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you again another time.